it starts to become that the universe is doing you. I know what you're doing is inviting the flow to begin to take you over.
And they manifest this, they manifest that, and there's still not a sense of happiness. Because
my experience with co-creation is people are often still in the lead. This is actually saying, I want to be used for the highest by the universe. Let me become a vessel. It started to become that the more I did that, the happier I became as a person. Is that there were so many universal forms of suffering, that somebody could be vastly wealthy or somebody could be almost broke, and yet so many of the issues kept coming up that we weren't taught to connect, to get the truth from the inside, and that we also weren't taught offering. Offering is a huge part of all the books, which to me is about, rather than saying, I'm going to do this and that so I can finally be happy, offering is the act of giving burdens, problems, worries, fears, even the whole life, back to divine love. And I just started to become more and more enraptured with the idea of offering, that you're living from a place of service to this divine love, instead of what a lot of New Age teaching would be, which is, how do you get the universe to serve you?
Yeah.
You know, how do you get the universe to work for you and get what you want? Offering is the opposite. It's really more the way, I would say, Hafez or Rumi or any of the Sufi poets lived. How can I serve something greater? Use me. You're saying to the universe, use me, as opposed to, how can I use your ass to get what I want? You're like, I want you to use me. It's very different. So all of that, I'm so practical. It started to become that the more I did that, the happier I became as a person. The more I was trying to live the other way, the more miserable I was.
Yeah, which you see it over and over again with people, as they achieve all of these accomplishments, they do different things, and they can manifest. And they manifest this, they manifest that, and there's still not a sense of happiness because they didn't allow themselves to be a vessel of saying, okay, I'm part of this huge macrocosm. Yes. I'm a microcosm, but my energy is affecting everything, right? And so how can I better serve this collective? And I think, like in your book, it was one of the things that hit me was that, I think it was a friend of yours, or maybe it was a client, but on her deathbed, and she was this, I think, clothing designer, wardrobe stylist or something, but had this lavish life. But the one thing she said before she left her body was, I wish that I would have done more to serve others, instead of everything in her life being about serving herself. Yes. And I think that many people have that realization in their elder years when they're about to pass or so, and they say, okay, yeah, I accomplished these things, or I lived, or I experienced, but what did I leave as my legacy, or what is that ripple effect that I've done to serve the greater, right?
Well, and I think what actually starts to happen is when you're working with these ideas of offering, and they really take practice, it starts to become that the universe is doing you. I don't know any other way to describe it. Rather than what are you doing, you start to get done. And I think it gets misunderstood with passivity. That's one of the really common things that happens with my work, is that if I ever get angry letters, which isn't that often, but when they come, there's always somebody saying, this book enraged me. It just seems so passive. What do? Just lay there and hope that God shows you what to do. And I'm like, no, it's actually, again, the paradox. What you're doing is inviting the flow to begin to take you over.
You enjoying this so far? Did you forget to subscribe? Make sure to do so. It takes 2 seconds. Just press that little button, the red one. You know the one. Just press it, little like. All right, enjoy the rest of this content.
And then the right actions get shown at the right time. So in fact, this work can be enormously animated, and you're given the courage, in fact, to do things that you might be very scared to do if you were only operating from the ego. You know, like somebody wrote me recently that she's very involved in a bunch of things, right now with the immigrants, that she was terrified to get involved with it, but that as she was doing this work, she felt her soul raise up and say, you need to go down to the border. You need to get involved with this. And it's her own soul guiding her, and it's going to be different for everybody. So this work is actually the opposite of passivity, but it's easy to misunderstand it in a culture that's about black and white thinking.
Yeah, and because then people think that there is no action, or how do you manifest something if you're just letting go? It's like, well, then it's guided for you, right? It's not that you do nothing. But
well, what happens is the actions start to happen through you instead of by you.
Yeah.
And that is probably the simplest way I could say it, is the actions start to happen through you instead of by you. And everyone's had that experience, even if they're listening to this going, what the hell are they talking about? Everyone's had the experience where you start doing something from the deeper self, and you don't even know why you're doing it. Suddenly you're calling somebody, and then you find out later, oh my God, they've been waiting for your call for 3 weeks. Or these actions start to arise from the deeper self. In Sanskrit, it's called the spanda. It's like the leap. You literally have a leap from the inside that says, go call that person, go apply for that. But it's not coming from a should. It's not coming because everybody else is telling you how you have to do it. It's literally arising from inside.
Yeah, which I think that a lot of people that might be stumbling upon your work, or things they're trying to make something manifest, or their life hasn't been working, but they're still attached to a certain idea of what that is, and then they surrender, and maybe they achieve that, or they get that response that they were looking for when they finally surrender. But then it leads them down a whole different path, right? Because who knows, where you start isn't where you end up. And the journey is completely unknown when you allow yourself to get in the car and just go for the ride.
Well, and I think that it's even past just getting in the car and going for the ride. There's a idea of calling in the highest, in the sense of you're inviting divine order into any situation. Yeah. So you're really saying that the highest that's meant to occur. And it's quite different. Every so often someone says to me, isn't this, how is this different than co-creation? And I would say my experience with co-creation is people are often still in the lead, trying to use God to get their list. They're like, okay, I'll invite you. This is very different. This is actually saying, I want to be used for the highest by the universe. Let me become a vessel. So from the inside, my own inner great self will show the actions, and they will arise in the right time and the right way. It's so different. And then you're doing it for the sake of the highest.
If you like this content, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment below. And we also have amazing link right there for some cool product. I know you want to check it out. I know you want to click it. Go ahead. Come on. You can do it. All right. Until next time, have a beautiful, blessed day.